I'm a
Yeah.
little bit
Oh,
phlegmy.
yeah. Here we go, Sherry. Welcome
Oh
everybody
yeah.
to the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA. Oh, I'm
Where
excited
we
today,
bring
Sherry.
you hope. I know you're making me laugh. Where we bring you H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing so you can start your day off the
The
AFA
AFA
way.
way. I love that. H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, H for healing. It feels like a romper room thing. Like back in the day, there was this TV show that all us kids watched. And it seems like, H is for hope, I is for inspiration, G is for growth, and H is for healing. Isn't it? So, you didn't think you were going to get something like this first thing in the morning on what day is today? Wednesday. On a Wednesday morning, a wild, wacky Wednesday. Let's start off with that message, Sherry. You are absolutely fucking amazing. Absolutely. No
Exactly as you are.
doubt. Exactly as you are.
When in doubt, wipe it out, right? When in
Right.
doubt, wipe that.
My God, people
Pivot.
go through life feeling
Pipe.
like, oh, if I only obtain this degree, oh, if only I had this house, if only I get this car, someday in the future when I have enough money. Let me tell you, my greatest memories, my greatest treasured memories are when I had nothing. Like the family had nothing, no money, but we were tight. Like we spent time. It's those moments that I look back and say, that was amazing. It's not the moments where I spent all this money and I was in a penthouse suite in New York City, partying my ass off or doing whatever. Although those were good times too. But
Those were good
those,
times.
it's not about that. It's about
Connection.
absolutely knowing that you're amazing exactly as you are. And we accumulate all of these bullshit stories because that's what our brain does. We remember everything that ever comes in, your brain's got it in here. It does, even if you don't consciously, connect to it, every single thing and experience that you've had is stored in this
I like
amazing
that.
brain that we have, this thing that we still don't understand, that we've studied. People have studied for thousands and thousands of years. We still don't understand it really.
And the part that's really cool too, if you think about what the brain looks like,
Mhm.
it's really kind of odd shaped. It's got all these little nooks and crannies. So,
Yeah.
right. So just think of just let your imagination go
Uh-huh.
from all the past experiences, however old you are, right? You start to collect them in those nooks and crannies in your brain. And you never know when
You
another
don't
thought or emotion is going
right.
to come up from that nook and cranny.
Here, yeah, I was talking about this the other day with somebody. We were talking about emotions, how emotions just come up and you start to experience them, based on whatever experience you're in at the moment. You'll have this emotion attached to it. You have no freaking control over that emotion. You have none. It just is that circuit lights up and you get that limbic system you have that emotion associated with whatever experience you have. Consider whatever emotion you're having at that particular time has really nothing to do with what's happening at that particular moment with that person or situation. It's always something from
Absolutely.
the past. So that's the
Yeah,
beauty of
well, here's
being a human being.
the beauty of being human being. Here's a really cool thing to think about.
Yeah.
So, and this is about peeling layers back, those onion
Uh-huh.
layers. So just think about when you get triggered and you get mad, right? Just
Mhm.
sit in that madness for a minute and just say, what is really behind the anger? And I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you right now, it's a very vulnerable emotion,
Of course
right?
it
Because
is.
it's hard for us to feel vulnerable. It's hard for
It's
us to feel sad,
fear. It's
disappointed,
fear.
right? Yes, all these
Yeah.
emotions come forth, right? Because you feel vulnerable and we don't want to
Right.
feel vulnerable. So what comes
Right.
forth ahead of it? The anger, right? The irritation, the lashing out or the triggering
Yeah.
of behaviors that we don't want to engage in. So once
Right.
you can start to identify the emotion behind that big, fat, ugly one that we don't like that makes us human, we're
Mhm.
going to be able to bring it back
Oh, yeah.
and manage a lot better.
Mhm.
Daily
Sure.
love, Mark.
Oh my God.
You
We're
you
going in.
bring
Listen.
so much Every day, Mark brings in so much love. Where is that banner? Subscribe to the Daily Love. There
Oh,
it is.
yeah.
Whoop.
Listen, we're all about the love. Like
We are a
I
little
really
Swami.
do. I really do love myself. Even I have so many. I'm human. You're human. It's just what it is. How we operate in the world, what we do is all mostly outside of our control. We have this illusion of having
Exactly.
free will, doing what I want. Frank Sinatra, my way. Yeah, Frankie, you didn't necessarily do it your way. It just rolled out.
Look like it.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's talk daily love.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good one for
Oh,
today, Sherry.
I love
Let
it.
me put my reading glasses on, everybody.
Oh, the
This is,
tortoiseshell. They're beautiful.
I'm a huge fan of Emmett Fox. If you don't know who Emmett Fox is, go look him up. He was a Christian New Age philosopher who was really prevalent in the 1930s, which, if you've had your history, your U.S. history, he came from the U.K. and in the 1930s. To the US from the UK, which, if you think about it, was kind of freaking crazy because the US was in shambles. I mean, there were no jobs and people were in soup lines and struggling. There were no government programs to help people out, which we have that safety net that we have today, albeit not the greatest, but it's a safety net, right? It's a help for people. None of that was in place. People were starving to death, literally, in the country.
Mm.
So he was active during this time. And uh, and his thing was a lot of the people who were active in that time in the self-help and in the movement to help people deal with life were all about what you think is what you get. How you how
There
you
you go.
think is what you're going to manifest. Because if you think about it, the Great Depression, did the money disappear?
No, it's still there.
It was still there.
Didn't see.
Money was
You just
there.
didn't see it.
The manufacturing job, I mean, the manufacturing capacity was there, the raw materials were there, the money was there. So what changed? The way people thought.
Mm.
All of a
Yeah.
sudden, everybody thought it was doom and gloom. It was the end. It was this moment in time where it just wasn't. People had this general thought that it was never going to change. So anyway, here
Right.
we go, making terms with the adversary.
Here you go.
So really, Emmett wrote a whole book called The Golden Key. Look it up; it's great. But
The golden key.
the Golden Key, and basically that's what this is about. And he's saying in this chapter, he's saying, suppose that you find yourself sneezing. If you say, there, now I have caught a cold, I'm in for it, and then proceed to dwell upon the thought that you have caught cold, you are giving the trouble the opportunity to dig itself into your mentality. People often indulge in quite a meditation upon colds. Instead, at the first moment that the possibility of catching cold occurs to you, you immediately reject it and affirm the truth. The whole thing will be over in a short time. And
There you
so the
go.
point is dwelling on negative things that are happening in your life are going to continue to have them in your life. As a matter of fact, it's
Right.
probably going to increase them in your life. So if you say, oh, I don't have enough money to make ends meet, and that's all you think about day in and day out, how hard life is, how money is hard to come by, what's going to manifest in your life is there's not enough money. Money is hard to come by. That's what will
Right.
happen. So it's
So
about,
here's a
yeah, go ahead, Cher.
no, yeah. So I no, I want to go ahead, finish. It's about,
Yeah.
and
So
I've got
the
to
so,
really.
so the thing is, again, it's that human experience. It's how our brains operate. You understand and get it. You can start to work tools. You can start to work
Yes.
with things we talk about day in and day out, that I talk about in the book, the AFA book. There are tools that you can use to cut that negative pattern and move it to the positive. And so the golden key is simply this, that Emmett Fox said. He said, when you have an adversity in your life, immediately turn to God or universe or whatever your concept is of that higher power, that being, that entity, that emanating love force. Immediately turn to that and say, I'm giving it to you. and now I'm not going to
Yeah.
think about it.
There you go. I'm gonna hand it over, right? Hand
Handing it
over
over.
my
I'm
troubles,
not going to
right?
worry about it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to go on with my life. And so
Right. So
and the magic, and it's not really magic because it is just a universal law. It's the way things work. The magic in it is that it works.
there you go.
As soon as you let go of that, your mental energy is available to
It's
attract
a
in
weight,
something different.
the weight lifted off, right? So think
Yeah.
about nothing. What can possibly move in if it's
We don't
all
know.
bundled up with icky yuck? So right, so you
Yeah.
get rid of the icky yuck. Here you go. I gratefully give this over to you because what happens? It opens up space for solutions,
It creates
right?
the opening for something that you're not even aware of.
Yeah.
Really, consider that there are things that could occur in your life, magnificent things that could occur in your life that by holding on to old ways, holding on to old patterns, never become available because they're outside of your field of vision, your view of the world. You don't have that space for them to come into. Oh my God, we could
Right.
talk forever about that.
Forever. We
But
could. But you know what we're going to
that's your
do?
little bit of daily love for the day.
Well, that's the part that I love about the daily love is
Mm.
because I can always make it apply to cannabis. I can just take
Mhm.
that thought and run with it. So
Here we
what I was
go.
thinking here, right? So I'm thinking here, this is Wild Wednesday,
Yep.
Wellness for Wednesday. So I am thinking, gee, what could the golden opportunity or the golden key be in
Mhm.
regards to the endocannabinoid system? Well, the golden key is the endocannabinoid system. Think about it. In
Right.
cannabis, the endocannabinoid system hand in hand. So the cannabis is an amazing adaptogen. It is like that key that
Mhm.
goes in, unlocks the door to the largest neurotransmitter signaling system in our body
Yeah.
that regulates all 11 organ systems, our immune system, and the neurotransmitter messenger signaling systems that tell our body to either turn off or turn off. Turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off, right? The
Yeah.
endocannabinoid system is constantly turning on and off. So, can you imagine if you could even apply that to our thoughts,
And Sherry, you
right?
can. So consider that the endocannabinoid system has been in the human body since the human body has been. All of that
There you
millennia,
go.
all of those thousands of years, it's been there.
Right.
And then
And so now we're just becoming aware, right? All of a sudden,
space was created by the research scientists who stepped out of what they thought was the case for the human condition. They stepped
right,
out of that and said, huh, I wonder, we have
right.
all of these chemicals. What are they doing? And then they just opened the space for that research to continue. And then they discovered the endocannabinoid system. The space was
Right.
created because of how they thought about it.
Right.
Wow.
So, how are we going to bring this into today? So, cannabinoids are adaptogens, right? So,
Oh, we
plant
love adaptogens.
phytocannabinoids are adaptogens that help our bodies to adapt to stress, right?
Oh,
And this could be, and that's what we're going to talk about today. What is stress and life management difficulty? So, I was going through Canna Keys and I'm like, stress, everyone's been having it. There's a lot going on. I wonder if there's really an entire section in Canna Keys about what is stress, what is life management difficulty, and
yep.
how cannabis can help. So I
Yeah.
found it. That was really
And you know
cool.
what, Sherry? Listen, stress is a killer.
Yeah.
Stress is really indicated in so many disease states caused
Yeah.
by stress. I mean, that
Yeah. It could
constant
be,
stress that you experience changes the very nature of the chemical balance in your system, in your body. And over
mhm,
time, it will kill you. It's
right.
absolutely indicated in the aging process. So if you're under
Oh boy.
considerable stress, you are not going to live as long as somebody who's able to initiate stress relief in their lives.
Right. Right. But so natural stress is normal. Okay. Right. And what it
Yeah.
is, it's a response, it's a cascade of what Mark was talking about.
Mhm.
Those physical, mental, emotional events that rapidly occur, due to a very real or a
Mhm.
perceived threat, right? Or a stressor.
Right.
So the stress response causes our body and our mind to respond really rapidly. That on-off switch is going on and off so
Mhm.
fast to ensure our survival, right? And the
Right.
goal of the stress response is to return our body back to homeostasis once that
Yep.
fight or flight, once we've
Uh-huh.
fought off that bear, right?
Right.
Um, and so the interesting thing is that this acute fear can tell your body to step away from the cliff, move away from that animal, right? Run
Right.
from that tiger. It has your body's survival in mind.
It's a
And so
very,
that
very
is the
old part of your brain, right? It's a
yeah,
very old part of your brain that's kept you alive
for a
through
long time,
thousands and
really
thousands of
long
years. The
time.
human race continues because this is part of what we are.
Exactly. So the endocannabinoid system is turning on when we have that perceived danger.
Mhm.
And when the danger is gone, the endocannabinoid system is supposed to turn off. Well, guess what happens if the switch isn't working so good? If
Mhm.
the messenger signaling systems, our own internal endogenous cannabinoids, like the plant, aren't able to stop, right? So it's going to continue to get these messages, continue to get the stress molecules, the adrenaline, the cortisol,
Mhm.
all flooding in our bodies on a continuous basis. And what happens, Mark, right? It makes us more vulnerable to
Of course it
infections,
does.
disease, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not supposed to be flooding your body with adrenaline and cortisol
Continually.
all the time. It's just not the way it's
Exactly.
supposed to be. But here's the key, it's perceived threat,
Right.
right? So
Yep.
it is individualized, whatever you perceive as a threat, and it always is tied to something in the past. It's just you're gonna relive
Y-
that, relive that, relive that, and you get into this feedback loop of continually having the cortisol and adrenaline rush, and your adrenal glands can become fatigued, and then,
Ooh.
wow, now you're in a different place.
Now you're in bed for a few
Yeah,
days.
now you're in bed, right. You can really become seriously ill
You can.
directly as a result of stress.
Mm, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when we were looking this up, right, I
Yep.
took a little bit of notes, wanted it to be just a little bit fancy. So stress, what are they calling it in Canada? They're calling it burnout, the
Yeah.
lack of relaxation and leisure, and
Yeah.
social role conflicts, right? So that's
Mhm.
really interesting.
Right.
The organ system associated with stress is obviously the nervous system, the mental
Mhm.
emotional system. And then there are, they have all of these different systems and how it affects our body. So, Mark,
Right.
how does it affect our body? We got a huge list. We can go
Oh
back
my
and forth.
god. Okay,
Yeah.
so free radicals due to oxidative stress can cause inflammation, and we know that inflammation also is indicated in the aging process. If you have constant chronic inflammation, it's not a good thing. Now, listen, inflammation is a natural part of your body's mechanism to repair tissue, right? But when it gets
Right.
off kilter because of stress and other factors, and you have chronic inflammation, it's no bueno. It's not
No
good,
bueno. No,
right?
it's not.
You have more
No. And then what does it
vulnerability to
do?
inflammation
Right.
and muscular tension. I mean, I experience stress in my life and I notice like my traps, my muscles right here,
Oof,
telling you right now, hard as a rock right now. They never relax.
really.
Never,
They
ever,
look like,
ever.
how
That's
I describe
not
them?
good.
I feel them like ropes, like corded ropes in my neck.
Me
Right.
too,
And
babe.
so,
Me too. It's just a
yeah.
stress
And so
response.
all,
So what are we going to do?
hmm, what are we
Cannabis.
going to do? We're going to do cannabis and lots
We're
of it
gonna
now.
do cannabis. We're gonna manage it with cannabis. But there are other
We are. And a lot of
comorbidities,
other
right?
things.
Other conditions
Yeah.
such as hypertension, heart disease, cancer, and the major
Yeah.
killers, right? The major killers,
Right.
all related to stress.
Right. And
Yeah.
then what happens too? So then the mental, emotional. So we have the physical response, the
Yep.
mental, emotional, trying to balance it, the
Uh,
anxiety, the chronic worry, the irritability, the aggression, the sleep disturbances, and then you're
mhm.
in that loop, right?
Oh
And
my
then what
god, just
happens
this
is you
one
want to
line
try to
could
make it
yeah, this one line, Sherry, is like that's like me to it in a T. Like I've got the greatest life ever, and I work hard at these things, but there are a lot of times that I have chronic worry, irritable, not necessarily aggressive, but I have sleep disturbances. And it's all related to just stress. So de-stressing,
Right.
meditation, cannabis, all of these things we'll talk about.
Right. We will. And the thing is, too, is what happens with a lot of people because they don't know how to manage their stress is a
Mhm.
lot of people turn to unhealthy adaptive behaviors
Right.
in attempts to cope. Right. So we're humans, right? So no
Mhm.
judgment here, but there are healthy and unhealthy adaptive behaviors. So some of the unhealthy adaptive behaviors which affect our endocannabinoid system are overeating,
Yep.
right? The fast food, fried food, fake food,
Yep.
nicotine,
Mhm.
alcohol, and other drug use. Not
Right.
all drugs, but some pharmaceuticals can deplete your body of nutrients, and that can
Sure they
affect,
can. Yeah.
your physical self.
So what happens
So
in
this
our
is a
bodies when stress triggers the release of cortisol? And cortisol is the
okay.
stress
This is
hormone. So what happens
yeah.
here?
So this is really interesting. So think about it. Our bodies are producing protein, right, to build muscle. So
Mhm.
when you have elevated cortisol level in your bodies, what is it does is it limits or reduces your body's ability to process protein to build that muscle, which results in muscle loss.
And that's
Think
huge.
about that.
That has a lot
It's
to do
big.
with how you metabolize foods and drugs and things. Muscle mass is really important, so the more muscle mass you have, the better your body's going to operate.
Yeah. Here's the thing. When I was teaching at some women's gyms, the big quote, the big chant was muscle dictates metabolism. Muscle dictates
It
metabolism. Because here's the
does.
thing is women just think that starving themselves is going to help them to lose weight and build muscle. It's not.
And everybody used to get
Mu-
on the scale, Sherry, and that is the worst thing you
Yeah.
can do because if things are happening correctly in your fitness routine, you're going to gain weight because muscle is heavier than fat. So people
Right.
have this crazy idea that it's about losing the pounds on the scale. Throw your friggin' scale out. Get a body fat percentage calculator, and maybe not throw your scale
Yeah.
out because a lot of the new scales have that in it. It's about your
Yeah.
body fat percentage. That's what you want to look at, not how much you weigh. It's how much of that
Exactly.
weight is actually made up of body fat.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
So think about this too. So when you're stressed, some people either overeat or don't eat enough, right? So
Yep.
when we crave the sugar, the sweets, the salty, the
Mhm.
fatty foods, it's because our brain, what does our brain see? Pleasure. Right? We want
Gotta
to
have
we
that
want to release
dopamine,
that
baby.
exactly. And so what it does is it temporarily relieves the tension until the effect wears off and then we're
Right.
stressed again and then what we're looking for is we're looking to soothe ourselves, and oftentimes these soothing behaviors can become addictive behaviors.
Of
So
course they
every
can.
time that
Yeah.
we're stressed we want those choices, we want to use those things, and if
Yeah.
they don't support and nourish our endocannabinoid system, that's where we can get into trouble.
That's right, and,
So
it really does slow our metabolism and increases the fat storage around our midsection. It's all very
oh boy,
scientific. It's all
it
very
is.
much, we know how it happens. That cortisol in your system is cueing your body that these things are happening. So we better store some fat in case this is the time when we're not going to have any food available, which happened many times over the past multiple thousand years. So your body has built this defense mechanism of, hey, there's a lot of cortisol in my system. Oh my gosh, I better store fat. So
In my
stress
gut.
in my gut,
think
right
about
in the
think
midsection.
about this. This is insane. So think about this. Stress
Yeah.
is going to help you to lose muscle mass in all the places in your body that you don't want to lose it.
Mhm.
And it's also going to lay down fat on your belly, right?
Yeah.
Your abdominal organs, because those are your core organs.
Mhm.
And our bodies are always trying to keep ourselves safe. So it says, whew, I'm going to put an extra layer there because you know what? I'm not feeling so safe.
Right. I'm not feeling safe, so I better store some fat because these might be the lean times and I'm gonna survive.
Right, right.
Mhm. Oh,
We're going to get a little bit, no, this is some sciencey stuff,
let's
which I
go in.
like too.
We got some
Yeah. So
studies,
the
babe. We got
studies,
we got a lot
oh,
of studies. 86 total studies, Sherry.
yeah, on stress and
Yeah.
cannabis.
Yeah. What do we got?
Zero lab studies. Yep,
Right.
zero lab, but 30 animal studies, 15 meta-analysis studies, and Mark was talking about this yesterday, how they really dig and they look
They dig like
and they group,
this is statistical scientific research.
right?
Yep.
They look at these research and they classify them all in these little groups.
Hmm.
8 clinical human trials, and here's a big one:
Yep.
6 double-blind placebo studies.
The
Right?
gold
Pretty cool.
standard.
The gold
Oh.
standard.
Yep.
Here's my favorite quote of the day. My favorite quote of the day, having to do with stress and life management. And these studies have shown overall positive 80% cannabinoids in managing stress. The positive clinical, meaning when they were looking at the data and were able
Yep.
to, make a decision, was 71%.
Yep.
And Mark, and you've said before that in traditional research, what are they looking for? Just 40%?
Yeah. So, I think that's the threshold when a drug that the FDA is going to approve, they'll allow a 40% efficacy, like 40% of the time it works. Okay, that seems to be good enough.
Okay, check, pass. But just think, here we go.
Yeah.
Positive clinical, 71%. That's
Uh-huh.
huge for cannabinoids. So the current scientific data implicated that the endocannabinoid system
Mhm.
is part of the central modulation of both physical, mental, and emotional stress, whether it be acute stress or
Mhm.
chronic stress.
Right.
Now, I don't know if you heard us all talk about this stuff, but this is definitely stress related. So we have this system in our body called the HPA, and it has to do with stress.
Hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Oh.
Yes, it's a big one. So just think
Uh-huh.
about this, and this is part of our anatomy and physiology, and then think of
Right.
all the different areas of our brain, right? Very complex
Yep.
actions occurring simultaneously, right? In
Mhm.
the prefrontal cortex of our brain, our amygdala, which is our emotional processing center, and
Mhm.
our hypothalamus in our brains, all at the same time,
Right.
being interacting. And that's not even just the fat cells, and that's just not even, the muscle wasting. These are other things that are happening in our brain in response to
Yeah.
stress.
Right. So,
So go ahead.
yeah, no, I was gonna say, so, when the HPA is activated and, all of these hormones are being released or not released, your primary endocannabinoids, anandamide and 2-AG, they play a role in these various
Yeah,
portions of the brain as well during the different
right.
phases of that HPA axis regulation of stress. So if your ECS
Exactly.
is off and those
Right.
endocannabinoids are not released when they need to be released or not degraded, it's not going to be as efficient as it needs to be. And you're going to stay in that chronic stress state.
Exact. Think of on and off, on and
Mhm,
off.
mhm.
We produce internal endogenous cannabinoids like the plant, and we release them on switch, off switch, on
Yeah.
switch, off switch. If you don't make enough of your own, then messages don't get where they need to go.
Mhm.
And this is where the plants, has an amazing impact on our stress coping mechanisms,
Yes, 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 yes.
right?
Yeah.
So some of the results were a little bit inconclusive, but they were pointing to a potential adaptive or maladaptive role of cannabis. So you think about this, right? It's all about the balance, right?
Mhm.
And some of the studies too, because remember how where we talk about chemo bars, cannabinoids, terpenes, essential fatty acids, whole plant.
Yep, yep.
And then we break it down, what is the THC to CBD ratio? So some of the
Right.
studies have begun to resolve some of the contradictory findings, which lies in the difference of the use of cannabis chemotypes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Chemotype 1, more THC, chemotype 2, equal THC, CBD, and chemotype 3, more CBD than THC.
yeah.
And
Yep.
data
And then the
shows that
data
both of
shows,
them
yep,
produce
yep,
a variety of opposing effects on the central functions related to coping with stress.
right. So what is the bottom line? We're going to always get back to the bottom line.
Always back to the
Homeostasis or
bottom.
balance,
Yep.
right? The
Yep.
endocannabinoid system regulates all of their organ systems, our immune system, and the neurotransmitters that give our
Mhm.
body tell themselves to do something or not do something. The goal of cannabis or cannabinoid therapeutics is to bring in specific cannabinoids to help to
Yeah.
regulate our entire body.
Uh-huh.
And there are other things that we can do to manage. And these are tools that we talk about all the time. So, Mark,
Right.
what are some of
Yeah.
them? Your
So we
first
got
two favorite.
cannabis. Now, breath work. Sherry, you and I love breath work. We use it all the time. It's magical. It is if oh my gosh, some of the breath work that we've done facilitated by Jacques Taron, some of that was seriously, that was a psychedelic trip. Like
Psychedelics.
you were able to induce psychedelic experience just by using your breath. Woo! Amazing. So
Very
what are the other things?
fascinating.
What are some of the other things? So it's cannabis, breath work.
Exercise.
Oh,
Motion is the lotion. This is one of your favorite ones, right? So you
oh
think
my
about
God.
when we exercise, we
Yep.
are releasing our own anandamine bliss-like molecule,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Really cool. And just to think too, Mark, when you take your CBD,
Hmm.
you exercise and you take your CBD, what are you doing? You're actually, the CBD is going to help your own bliss-like molecule circulate around your system just a little bit more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Yep.
then we've got the next one that I am just such a huge fan of, meditation. It is a game changer. Literally, it will change your brain. It will increase the gray matter in your brain. They have physically proven it with functional MRI. If you establish a meditation practice and it's not as hard as you think, if you say that you're not the kind of person that can meditate, you're the most likely one that should be meditating, and you can do it. You absolutely can. I mean, listen, I don't know about you, Sherry. I was diagnosed with ADD back in the day. That's just, how I'm
They,
wired. It's, I'm going to move on to the next thing. Meditation. I have a great meditation practice when I do it.
yes,
Perfect.
when you do it.
When
But
I
here's the
do
thing,
it,
just
it
think about this
changes
too.
everything.
It does change everything. So think about this every morning at 8 a.m. Let us be your meditation, right? You're just going to start your day. You're going to say, I am AFA. I
I
am
am
AFA. You can
AFA.
all go away.
That's the new mantra. What else, Sherry?
Right? Yeah,
Get out
why
in
not?
nature.
So, yeah, get in nature. I cannot wait for you to come back to the farm, right?
Oh my
Nature is
gosh.
absolute. Here it is. Here's a quote. Nature is perfect. Think about that.
Yeah.
Perfect exactly as it is. It just
Yep.
happens. We don't worry about it.
Yeah.
They don't worry about it,
Yeah.
right? And so, yeah, nature, getting outside, getting your feet in the
Right.
earth, the sunshine. We
Yep.
plant. Just think about the plant. How does the plant best grow? Well, a lot of
Yeah.
people will debate that, but think about being in nature. Its natural environment.
Right.
Here's another good one, Mark.
Oh, yoga. Oh my God. I found yoga in 1998. I became a yoga instructor in 1999. I love yoga.
Me
Oh, I
too.
did yoga this morning. That was how I started
There
my
you
day.
go.
I get up out of bed, I'm achy, I hurt a little bit, immediately get on the mat. Oh, it was just
Yeah.
absolutely marvelous.
So think about what we're doing in yoga. Okay.
Yep.
Meditating. We're mindful. We're moving, and we're breathing. Four. I
Mhm.
call it the four pack. 4 for 1. All
Yeah.
in yoga.
Yeah. What else we have? Energy healing, which we do on Frequency Fridays.
Oh,
Energy
every
healing.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yep. Energy, light, and information,
Decrease your
changing your
stress.
bioenergetic. Exactly.
Yeah.
Food. We talk about food as medicine. Our
Yep.
enteric nervous system, our gut,
Mhm.
communicates to our central nervous system or our
Yeah.
brain via the endocannabinoid system. So it makes sense to make better food choices.
Better food choices, and don't beat yourself up. Come on, ho ho,
No.
ring dings, whatever, a bag of chips. It's just don't do it every day. Like every now and again, it's a great treat. The best diet in the world is the one that you'll stick to. I had one where it
There
was
you
like
go.
6 days on and 1 day off. That 1 day off was a celebration. Ho ho! Anything you wanted to eat on that 7th day, it was awesome. You know what happened over the course of time? By eating the better foods for 6 days, when you get to the 7th
You
day, you're
lost.
like, I might as well just eat what I've been eating and maybe have a little bit. It's so good. So whatever the diet
Yeah.
is that you find that works for you, that gets you to think about your food choices is the best one.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
final thing, Sherry, bum, bum,
And
bum.
avoid the toxins. You know, we can't avoid them all the time, but there are certain things that we can avoid. Alcohol, the fast
Yep,
foods, the canned
yep.
foods, the box foods, the chemicals, the nicotine, you know, all of these different things we want to avoid. We want to keep our bodies, these meat suits, we only got one, right? Keep it healthy.
Damn
Do the
right.
best you can.
All right, we got to
So
wrap it up because I got to get on a plane.
we can,
First time in a year.
okay. Oh,
Woo!
I know. Oh my God, that's so exciting.
Oh,
Nurse Mark is coming to Boston for how many days? Couple
it.
days?
Yeah, 3 days. I got a meeting. I got a
3
meeting
days.
tomorrow night, and so I've got to pop in town. But then I'll be back
Yeah,
full
right.
time in a few weeks. I'm excited.
Good, good,
Yeah,
good. Back to Massachusetts, and we're
you
going to be
know it.
doing a lot of great things on the farm. So yeah,
Oh yeah,
the Green Nurse
the
Farm
green nurse down on the
events
farm. Get ready,
down
folks.
on the farm.
Monthly
Get
events,
ready.
live
So
events. It's back.
yeah, it's back.
All right.
So yeah, so what do we have the rest of the week? So tonight we have Taris Baptiste.
Taris
Am I saying it right?
Baptiste, yes, former football player from the Atlanta Falcons, has written a book about his cannabis experience. Now, his cannabis experience wasn't positive because it really, started in high school and it altered the course and path of his life, not in a positive way. So we're going to talk
Yeah.
like we're all about talking about everything to do with cannabis, and you know
Yeah.
what?
And even different perspectives, you know?
Different
And so,
perspectives.
but it's
Like not all cannabis use is positive cannabis use. And so we're going to talk about that with Taris. He just published his book
wrote
at
a
the end
book.
of March. He's a
Yeah.
fabulous guy. So we're really excited to talk to him about, why he wrote, what motivated for him to write the book and what his experiences were. And that, we're all about perspective here. So it's going to be great to have
That's
him on.
it. Perspective consciousness,
Yes.
emotional processing. And
Yeah.
why are we doing this? Because
Yep.
you're all AFA and we want you to
Boom.
live your best life.
Listen, I'm going to have an AFA day because I'm jumping on a
Me
flight
too.
and I love to travel and I'm back in the
Woo!
game, vaccinated, wearing my mask. I'm on my way. So, yeah,
Right.
my AFA day is awesome. It's so good to see all of you here this morning, guys.
You too. Thank
Oh,
you for
Denise,
joining us.
Beth, Jack, Ashley, Carrie, those who posted up, those who were watching and not posting. We love you guys. Thanks for being a part of
We
this.
do.
And my partner, Sherry, thanks for being a part of
Oh,
this. My AFA
thanks,
day
Mark.
is in full swing. And Sherry, what's it all about?
Oh, goodness, Mark. I thought you'd never ask, but it is all about living your best life, helping others do the same, and decreasing stigma around what it means to feel good. We love you
That's
all.
right. That's right. All right, folks. We'll see you later on tonight.